Welcome to Tales from the Fandom, a podcast that brings a special guest out of the multiverse and straight to you. And now your host, David Ginsburg.
Welcome to Tales from the Fandom, a podcast that explores a variety of fandoms. I'm your host, David Ginsburg, and our guest today is Meghan Short. Meghan has been cosplaying for over 6 years, and her cosplays range across the fandom spectrum. She is a self-described Disney fanatic, and when she isn't indulging in her fandom, she is finding herself busy attending school for hospitality management and working in the retail industry. Welcome to Tales from the Fandom, Meghan.
Thank you so much, David.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm really happy to finally get you recording and on the podcast.
Me too. I'm super excited to be here, and this is my first podcast, so I'm super excited for everyone that's gonna actually listen.
Well, I hope it just continues to grow, and hopefully everyone will be able to listen to you and just really get into some of the fandoms that you're interested in.
Awesome. That is what I'm here for.
So, how would you describe fandom?
To me, I would definitely describe fandom as like a group of people that are brought together for like a love of like a certain movie, a TV show, a book, a series, a person, whether that be like a cosplayer, a musician, or whatever. And it gives us all like the grounds to appreciate those things together. And that's sort of what creates the fandom. And then we all become sort of like a fandom family.
There you go. That's something that's been echoed a lot with the people I've been talking to, is the fandom family connection.
Yeah, I'd say fandom really actually has brought me a lot of my friends, and especially in like the cosplay community and going out to conventions and stuff, like what fandoms you're into, like you could see someone from across the hallway and immediately have a friend just because you guys share that same basis in love. So it's really nice to know that like you can go somewhere, and even if you don't know anybody, you know that you have a friend no matter what.
Absolutely. It's a lot easier to make friends that way than just trying the old-fashioned way of like, hey, what are you into, while you're looking at books at the library or attending a class or something like that.
Yeah, I'm no good at that, especially at school. I don't talk to a lot of people in class just because I'm a little shy, a little introverted when it comes to large groups, except when it comes to conventions and fandom things. When it comes to things that I love like that, it definitely opens me up a lot more.
Same here. I am absolutely the same way, where in classes I wouldn't talk to people, but then I would find the people that were into like Dungeons and Dragons or Star Wars or Star Trek and really go from there, and those would become my closest friends.
Yeah, it gives you like it almost gives you immediate friends, and then it's like those people you form some really tight bonds with, and I really like that. Like I definitely share that with my two best friends. They like a range of different things. One totally into anime, one is not, but we're all in like sort of fandoms together, so we all can bond on that level, and it's really great.
Now, what was your first fandom experience?
My gosh. First fandom experience, that one is hard. I think that my first real fandom was Inuyasha. That was like the first anime I watched, and then definitely Neon Genesis Evangelion was like a big fandom that I got into. And then I think the first experience like actually being around people was when I went to AFO for the first time, and that was in 9th grade. So I was really awkward. I was just this really awkward 13-year-old. I was younger than everyone because of my birthday being in the summer, and AFO was just this like whole other world for me. It was amazing. I remember just like walking in after getting my wristband with my best friend at the time, and like I could just see all of my favorite things coming to life, and it was just like it blew my mind that like I could look across the room and there suddenly Harry Potter is there, and then you look over to the other side and you see like Riku or Sora from Kingdom Hearts, and it was just really awesome to see like all of that come to life, and it really made me feel at home because everyone was really, kind of the same. We're all really different, but when you went to the convention, you were with people that were like you.
Yeah, totally. When I was in ninth grade, I was a super Star Trek fan, like Star Trek fan club and the Star Trek uniform and going to the Star Trek conventions. So totally in the same boat of the 13-year-old awkward phase, and I never really got out of that.
Yeah, I think that at least people that, are into like nerdier side of things, we all we evolved from our awkward ninth grade selves, but we're still kind of those people in the sense that like we're still those giant nerds. We just probably look a lot better now.
Speak for yourself.
I made some bad fashion choices and hair choices in young teenage years, so I'm really happy that skipping ahead now to cosplaying, I can look at it and be like, yes, okay, I accept this. I'm glad that nobody can go back and see the 13-year-old stuff that I was doing.
That's funny. I found a picture of this cosplayer recently, and her father had sent her a picture of when she first cosplayed at 13, and now she's doing the same character. I think she's 19 or 20, and she put them side by side to show the difference.
Oh yeah.
And that was incredible to see.
Yeah, I love those, watching the transformation. I, for the life of me, cannot find a photo of the first cosplay I did. I know what it was. Like, I still remember doing it. I did Yuna from Final Fantasy X, and my mom was so mad because I bought the costume online and I didn't realize that when I bought it, the purchasing price was in yen, not in American dollars. So when I bought it, it was a lot more expensive than she thought it was going to be.
Oh no.
Yeah, but I cosplayed her, and oh my god, I didn't have a wig. I didn't know how to style wigs. I just wore the costume and styled my own hair. I didn't know how to do cosplay makeup. I didn't order any contacts or anything. And, I just went in the costume, but people still took pictures and were still awesome to me. And I wish I could have one of those photos purely so I could compare it to now, just so I could be like, look, I used to be a lot more awkward than I am now. Now I'm only a little awkward.
And Yuna is such a great costume and character. I love Final Fantasy X. It's my second favorite of the Final Fantasy series, but Yuna's costume is definitely one of those ones that when you see it, it's instantaneous recognition.
Yeah, that was one of the first video games that I ever played, because I never owned gaming consoles when I was younger like everyone else. I only ever had a PlayStation 2 that I shared with my stepdad. And so, like, I was always really behind in the gaming sense. Like, I didn't play Pokemon until 2 years ago for the first time ever. Like, I'd never played a Pokemon game. I had never played Mario, any Mario game ever, until like 4 years ago. So I was really behind on all of that. But Final Fantasy X has a special place in my heart because that was one that I actually owned, and I played it on the PlayStation after school. So that one definitely is close to the heart.
Same here. I played that at a friend's college apartment, and I would go over there in the mornings to play it because I didn't have a PlayStation 2, and I would go over to his place and play it for as long as they would let me play on their PlayStation, on their TV. And then finally I purchased a PS2 and the game for myself, and I just have great memories of that game. I think one of them is Yuna, another is Riku, and Yuna's wedding was phenomenal.
Oh my god. And just like you can hear like in-game music, like if it starts playing, suddenly it all comes rushing back, just playing it the same way I feel with Kingdom Hearts. is another one that was one of the few games that I owned when I was younger, was Kingdom Hearts. Simple and Clean comes on, I lose it. I cannot contain myself.
Oh, I love it. I love the opening of Kingdom Hearts. I love the stained glass opening pieces. Those were beautiful. The only problem I have is I am not a good action adventure platformer type of gamer. It's just too much for me in the controls to handle. So I never really progressed too far into Kingdom Hearts, but I did watch it on YouTube and just watch the like the full motion videos and followed along with the story that way.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. I had to look up like other people playing certain parts to get through it because I just couldn't get through it myself. I feel like a lot of people who play a game for the first time do that, so I don't feel too guilty about kind of cheating.
Oh, absolutely not. But I come from the generation where there was Nintendo Power magazines that you bought to kind of see what's going on for your Nintendo games, or you called the 800 or 900 number to get tips.
Oh my god, that is so cool. That kind of makes me wish that I had like any sort of, this is console to play just so I could call. You had a number to call for tips?
That's how the Nintendo did it back in the day. Was you had the Nintendo Power magazines and you would hope that they would talk about your game that maybe you got stuck in, and it would have maps and some walkthroughs and stuff, but they did have a phone number where you could call up and talk to somebody, and they would have the game in front of them, and they would have the notes and information, and you would call them up and try and get information on how to beat that part. And this is like mid to late 80s.
I want that person's job. Not gonna lie. You get to sit all day with games that you probably love and then help other people get through them. Like, dream job achieved right there.
Well, nowadays it's all game facts and YouTube.
Yeah, and then like I never really understood like the thickness of like game guides when they came out. I was like, I don't understand why is there so much here, until I needed help getting through parts of a game, and then the game guide like opened up this whole new thing of like, there are all these hidden things and over here to the side and like side quests that you probably don't even know about. And I was like, yeah, nope, did not have any clue about that.
Boy, I'll bring up Final Fantasy X on that one with, I believe they're the Ject Spheres.
Yes!
Yep, those I had no clue about when I was playing until I think I'd randomly stumbled on one. I was like, oh, how about that?
Oh, so that's what you are, okay.
Or the craziness involved in getting everyone's legendary weapons.
Oh, God.
Which we won't talk about the lightning planes because that is one I never was able to do.
God. Well, we would be talking for way too long if we went off on this tangent.
Well, at least, Final Fantasy X, that is something you and I both love. That is awesome.
Yes, and I just for the first time ever watched a Star Trek movie. Not one of the new ones, an older one from Next Gen. And my parents used to watch Next Gen, and the only thing I've seen of Star Trek is the new movies, which I'm totally in love with. Like, they're great. I love them. And one of my best friends, like, has seen every episode of Star Trek there is, like, out there, and has been trying to get me to watch just any of it. And I finally saw on Netflix there was a Star Trek movie, and it was a Next Gen movie, and I watched it this weekend, and I am in love. I am in love with Data.
And now you have to watch everything. Which at least it's on Netflix, so.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah, all the Star Trek series are on Netflix.
Well,
get to cracking.
Well, I know what I'm marathoning next.
I mean, you've got Next Gen, you've got Deep Space Nine, you've got Voyager. I believe the original series is on there with Kirk and Spock and McCoy. You've got some work cut out for you.
Yeah, I'm hearing everything listed off. I'm like, I've got some serious work to put into this if I want to catch up with everyone else.
And they have a new Star Trek series coming out next year.
What?
Yep.
Jeez.
CBS is bringing Star Trek back finally after it's been off the air for a while. So we Trekkers are very excited.
Well, okay, well, that means I definitely need to watch everything that I can get in before that comes out then, because I'm going to want to watch it.
Well, definitely watch Next Gen, because, and I will say the first season is probably like a rough season to get through, but you'll appreciate it because it builds so much, and all the characters, you start developing the characters. Next Gen, excellent. My favorite is Deep Space Nine. I have a friend that loves Voyager, so it's all worthwhile watching.
I will make note of that. I was probably going to start with Next Gen just because that's one that I remember my parents watching, and it's not that old, so I can't fault it too much for some of the graphics that they've got going on in it.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I fell in love with Picard, with Captain Picard in the movie, and I love Patrick Stewart, so like he's got me hooked. I'm like, okay, now I have to watch this. And Data, because I saw someone do a cosplay of Data before I knew who he was, and they did a gender bent on it, and I'm like, holy crap, this is amazing. What is this? And I asked one of my best friends, I asked her, I was like, who is this from Star Trek? She was like, that's Data. That's a girl cosplaying Data. And I was like, okay, that's a weird name, whatever. And then, you know, la-ti-da, whatever. Fast forward to finally seeing the movie, I was like, okay, yep, definitely want to add that to cosplays in the future.
Listen, when you get into Star Trek and have watched some of Next Generation, I want to have you back just to discuss Star Trek.
I am so down for that. I will discuss shows, movies, anime, anything that I've seen. As soon as I've seen it, I could talk about it for hours.
Well, I'll let you get into the series first before I call you back up.
Awesome.
So one of the shows, or one of the fandoms that you mentioned that you were into, is a very, I can't say it's old. I guess, well, I could say it's old. It's old, but it gets redone and re-released and remade, and that is Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Yes, that my favorite, top tier, number one show, no matter what, is Evangelion. That is like my number one baby ever.
Now, I need to know how you got into that, because for me, I was introduced to it by a friend, and we watched it because he's like, this is one of the most messed up animes you're ever going to watch. And it wasn't like creepy, weird anime, but it was just out there anime with the storylines that it was discussing and the things that were actually going on in the show.
Yeah, I actually never had anybody recommend it to me. I came across it when it was actually, some of it was still being aired on Cartoon Network.
Wow, okay.
Like, I saw it on Cartoon Network for the first time, and I was just like, this is really weird, but somehow I'm into it. It's really strange. And then when I got older, I rewatched it. Like, I downloaded it all, and I rewatched the original series, and then, you know, and then it got remade, and then it's been re-released as the movies that are coming out now.
Right.
And it just, I don't know what it is. I just can never get over it. I watch it over and over again, and I love it even more every time. And so many people are like, I could never get past the series. I could never get past the first few episodes. So whenever I'm recommending it to anybody, I always recommend them. I'm like, go watch the new release movies that are coming out, because it's basically the same thing, but it looks so much better and there's so much more story. And then if you want to go backwards, and I definitely recommend seeing the original series, and definitely you have to see the like end of Evangelion. Everyone needs to see it, but for people just trying to get into it, most people won't get past the first few episodes, so I always kind of tell them to go do it backwards. or else they'll never get into it.
What draws you to Evangelion? What is the thing that made you fall in love with it?
Giant robots. Now, okay, technically they're not robots in the sense of they're not fully mechanical robot being things, whatever. I'm not gonna say more. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil it for anyone that hasn't seen it. But I also don't want to say that they're just giant robots, because they're not. But that was what drew me in first. I was like, oh my god, that is so badass. And then my favorite character, Rei Ayanami. She is my number one waifu in the entire world. I love her, and so giant robots and her are what kept me around.
You like Rei.
I love Rei. So many people love Asuka, and I'm just like, nope, I am a Rei girl. I actually have a Rei pillow sitting on my bed next to me right now.
Why Rei? Out of all the characters in the show, I mean, I understand after watching the show that she is one of the most dynamic characters in it.
Yes.
Is that one of the reasons that you like her, or is there something else?
Yeah, that is one of the reasons, but what first drew me to her, it's very superficial, but it was the blue hair.
Okay.
The blue-haired anime girl sort of thing. And I was like, wow, I really love that. And then as I actually, got into the show and found a love for her as a character, that's kind of why she stuck around as like my favorite. But at first it was just like, wow, I'm really digging this blue hair, red eye thing going on.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that I've got to say, as far as cosplay goes, there are a ton of Rei cosplayers.
Yes, and which it's funny if you've seen the show that there are a lot of Rei cosplayers. I think you know why. I don't want to say why. I enjoy when I see multiple Rei cosplayers at the same time. Just because you're like, and I know that you get it. And for anyone else out there who doesn't get it, go watch Evangelion, and then you can be in on the joke.
And then you can listen back to this and totally get it.
And then you can totally understand what I mean by this is funny. This is comical to me that there are multiple cosplayers of you right now.
One of my friends, he was a big Asuka fan, and I don't really have a favorite from that series. It's not that I don't dislike anybody. It's just that I think I just was trying to get more into the story than focusing on a character and being really caring for the characters.
Yeah, and sometimes that happens. I have some anime or shows or movies where I don't really end up with a character that I'm like, wow, I really would love to be this character, or I'm really into this character's story, whereas just being into the whole story as a the story as a whole. There are some that you just like the story, and the characters are just what are there.
What's interesting about Neon Genesis is how it's had such a longevity to it. I can liken it to a similar an anime in general, like Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
That it keeps having iterations being released, whether it's new material or that they're just redoing the material. But those two animes definitely have staying power.
Yeah, and I think it has a lot to do with what we were talking about at first, is fandom, is the fans pushing for there to be more, or just keeping it around and showing that it's still here, we still love it, you still could benefit from this show or manga if you continued it. And the fandom, if it sticks around long enough, sometimes the show or the execs or whatever will come through and you will get more if you're lucky. Not so much for Firefly fans, boo. But luckily for Evangelion fans and Sailor Moon fans, we keep, for some reason, getting more and more.
Now, you mentioned Firefly. I have to ask, are you a brown coat?
I never finished Firefly. I know, blasphemy. I had started watching Firefly with a person that I was seeing at the time. I was watching it. with that person, and then that person and I stopped like seeing each other, and I never finished it just because I associated it with them. And it was
Oh
like a thing
no.
we did together. I have nothing against, like, I totally watched the rest of Firefly. I just never did. I just never finished it. So I'm awful, but that's on the list of many shows that I've gotten partway through and haven't finished.
And Firefly is only 13
I know,
episodes in a
I
movie.
know.
Oh, you're killing me.
I've seen, let's see, I think I've seen 5 episodes.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I remember there was this, oh god, it must have like been like 2 years ago now. There was like a contest going around for like shows that had died to bring them back. And I know that Firefly was on there and Pushing Daisies was on there. And there was like
Yep.
a crazy war between those two fandoms trying to get the shows brought back.
Well, it got to the point where Nathan Fillion, who plays Malcolm Reynolds, had jokingly discussed buying the rights to it from, I believe Fox still carries some of the rights,
Yeah.
either Fox or Universal. And there were a lot of fans that started collecting money to pay for it.
That actually would be pretty badass for an actor of a show to buy the rights to their show so that they could, continue if they wanted to.
Well, one of the hopes that people have now is now that his show Castle wasn't brought back for another season, people really want another iteration of Firefly to come back.
Yeah.
I don't know if Joss Whedon is into it or would ever think about that, but I would see it as perfect for being on, say, Netflix.
Yeah, and like the thing is, like, I didn't finish Firefly, but I still see Firefly cosplays like at conventions still now. And so if you think about it, if those cosplayers are still around, the show hasn't been out for a long time. If they're still sticking around, maybe that should be an indication that, like, hey, these people in this fandom really, really love this show, and they definitely deserve to see more than 13 episodes worth
That's right.
of it. Like, I hate when that happens with shows, and then, like, you fall in love with them and realize there's only one season, and you're like, what the fuck?
There is and because you're not like in deep as say me and my brown coat love, they still have it's called You Can't Stop the Signal, or something along those lines, where they still show the movie in small independent movie theaters, and people dress up and people come and they raise money for different charities.
That's so cool. Like,
So
I really hope that they're like seeing that and being like, maybe we should bring it back.
yeah, it's a big movement, and it's something that I think you would enjoy. I hate when things like, I hate when you are watching or doing something with somebody and it affects.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've like fallen out of interest on a lot of different things because I associate them with people.
I try not to do that with, oh God, I try not to do that with like shows and movies, because I'm like, I really enjoy this. I don't want to look at it negatively. I'm going to try and like keep this aside in my brain, but it's just one of those things that sometimes happens. But I definitely will finish Firefly. I'm probably just going to restart it over so I can get the whole experience at once, because that's how I like to do shows. If I haven't seen it in a while, I like to restart and rewatch. I've done that with Game of Thrones like 3 times now, just because like the season will end, you'll be waiting, and then, I don't know, my brain latches on to other marathons. Like, I'll marathon something and just go right through it. And so I'll just flip on Game of Thrones. Like, I have seasons 1 through 5 just on my computer, because season 6 is airing right now. And so right before 6 started airing, I started rewatching from 4.
Okay.
I just like to get myself back in the mindset and be like, oh yeah, that's where the storyline is going.
Right. And you don't take it back to season 1 and say, oh, my Starks.
Yeah. You know what? I will never get over my Starks, okay? I did not know what I was getting into when I started watching Game of Thrones. And my friends who had read the books because I've only gotten. I'm ashamed. I've only gotten halfway through book 1 just because I just some of the chapters I was just like, I can't do this right now.
Right.
So like it came out right as I was reading, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch it. And all my friends, you know, who had read it were like snickering at me. And I didn't understand until I got through season 1, and then I was like, please don't tell me that this is how this series goes. Like, this is what happens. They just fucking kill everyone, and they're just like, no, they just fucking kill everyone.
I remember watching YouTube reaction videos of the Red Wedding.
Oh my god, if someone had filmed me watching the Red Wedding, I probably would have murdered them. Just because of the faces that I made at the screen. And like at the time I didn't have a subscription to HBO, so I would wait for the episode to air, not go on the internet for a day, go and download it, watch it, and for the Red Wedding, I just watched in horror, rewound it, played it again, and then paused it, right? I really hope everyone has seen up to the Red Wedding, because you shouldn't. Oh, my roommate's closing her door because she hasn't seen. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but like, right when they fucking just, you know, are like, ha ha ha, we're gonna fucking murder you now. You know, just pause it. Just stare in horror, you know, maybe crying a little bit. I'm not gonna admit to that. But I just sat like at the edge of my bed, mouth gaping open, a little teary-eyed, just being like, no fucking way. There's no fucking way that you're killing Catelyn. There's no fucking way that you're doing that. You're really okay. Yep, she's dead. Okay, Rob is too. All right. Yep, you're just killing the whole fucking family, aren't you guys? And that's sort of like my narrative with the television show. The whole time was being like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. No, you can't do that. No, you already took Ned. No, don't. Just, oh, yep, okay, they're dead. Sorry, my roommate is sitting in the room with one of the cats and was plugging her ears because she has not caught up with Game of Thrones.
Oh my goodness.
So she just started. She's only seen some of what she's walked in on me watching.
Okay.
So that made her finally be like, you know what, okay, I'll watch the show. She's not up to that point yet, so she was like, don't spoil this for me, even though it's been out for so long. Don't spoil.
Well, we shall do our best.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite character in Game of Thrones?
I have 2, Daenerys and Tyrion.
Not surprised.
Yeah, duh. I mean, like, come on. Daenerys and Tyrion. At first, for a while, I wasn't so fond of Sansa, but she's coming into her own. Lately, I've been gaining more respect for her, especially when I've talked to people who have read the books. They're like, oh, you know, like, she's not so much of a whiny bitch in the books as she comes across at first in the TV show. She is meant to be, like, sort of that way. At least, like, I've been told. I need to, you know, on the everlasting list of books to read. I do need to read them because I do want to know more, because the book always tells you more than whatever cinema they make of it.
Right.
So I need to read them, and I will read them eventually at a painstakingly slow pace. But I've grown love for Sansa, which I didn't think I would ever even kind of like her. But I want her to just fucking help Jon take back the North, honestly.
Right.
Like, I just want to be like, yes, be the fucking Ice Queen.
Which I can only imagine that you are solidly behind House Stark.
Oh, yeah. I am so behind House Stark. It's insane. Which I'm also a little conflicted because I'm so behind House Stark, but also I'm like, Dany is the queen of everything, and she's gonna come and burn you all down. And that's all I want in the world, is for Daenerys to just get the fuck over there and just kill everyone.
I was reading a article today about Game of Thrones, and one of the things that they brought up was, if House Stark didn't have so much honor, there wouldn't be all these wars. If Ned wasn't going after his sister, it wouldn't have caused the first one. If John or if Rob wasn't so set on being King of the North. I mean, all of it is House Stark's fault, is what the article brought up.
You know what? I can see that a little bit, but like at the same time, I want to be like, shh, 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 don't say that. Don't talk about them that way. They're noble. They can't help it.
Right, exactly. They're just
blood.
doing what's right.
It's who they are. They can't help it. But then you're like, well, you know, if they had played the quote-unquote Game of Thrones the way that others played, maybe they all wouldn't be fucking dead.
Who were you sad to see go out of everyone in this show? And I apologize to your roommate if there's any spoilers on that.
Yeah. Well, Ned. Oddly enough, I was kind of sad to see the Hound go. Just like I just kind of like, even though he was shit, like just a giant asshole, there were times when Arya was with him that he almost seemed human, like he gained some more humanity back while she was with him. And, you know, I was kind of sad to see him go, just because, like, I liked his character. Like, he was shitty, like, he was a giant asshole, but I liked his character in, like, the sense, like, I liked what he brought to the show, especially because fuck Joffrey. So I liked that he didn't really take shit from that little fucker. I was not sorry to see him go. I laughed when he died.
I think the whole internet laughed when he died.
Yeah, you know, I think everyone was really happy to see him go, which is really sad because then you go and watch interviews and you're like, oh, you know, this kid's actually kind of sweet.
That kid was in Batman Begins, I believe.
Was he?
Yeah, there's a thing where I believe it's Batman Begins and Bruce Wayne as Batman is just starting out and he's on a rooftop and there's a blonde-haired kid that sees him and I guess they have a little conversation for a very brief moment, and that was the actor that became Joffrey.
That's crazy. See his face and I'm like, fuck you. And then as long as I don't see him in like anything remotely like Game of Thrones like costume wise, I'm like, okay, I can set you aside because I know you're actually like a really sweet person and you're a great actor. But if I see him in the Game of Thrones attire, I'm just like, fuck you, I'm glad you died.
Everyone's right there with you.
Yeah. I forgot to talk about one of my favorite characters that I don't know how I forgot to talk about her, but speaking of Joffrey made me think of her. I fucking love Marjorie.
Absolutely. She's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, like, okay, not only is Natalie Dormer, her actress, a fucking babe, but she is such a badass. She knows how to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
She plays it super well. Up until recently, she got a little fucked over, but still.
Yeah, Marjorie is definitely one of my favorite of the characters that are in King's Landing.
Yeah, right now. And I almost felt bad for Cersei. Almost. Because, you know, I still keep in the back of my head, I'm like, fuck you and Jamie, and pushing an innocent child out of a fucking window. Because you guys are evil, incest-loving fucking vipers. Poor Bran. But speaking of poor Hodor.
Yes.
Hodor. I can't even. I'm sorry for any spoiled, if anyone's like, oh, what do you mean poor Hodor? If you catch up on season 6, you will see. Poor man. And also mind blown at that part.
Right. That was definitely a shock when they showed what happened and how it happened.
Like, wait a fucking minute. Are you serious? This season, like, speaking of just Game of Thrones in general, this season is doing really well. At least for me. Like, I'm loving it. Last season, a lot of the episodes were kind of falling flat. I was getting a little bored in season 5. There were certainly good episodes, but the season as a whole kind of fell flat for me, but season 6, every episode I'm just like on edge, totally focused, ready to know what is going to happen.
Absolutely, especially now that they're in the final stretch, and I think they've announced that they're only going to do about 15 episodes between season 7 and season 8.
Yeah.
They're not going to do full 10 episode seasons.
So you're just sort of like, okay, we're getting there now. It's almost, we're getting into the home stretch. Wow.
Now, I do want to ask a question for Game of Thrones before we move on.
Okay.
I asked this to one of my previous guests, and so I'm going to pose the question to you. The show ends. There's somebody on the Iron Throne. Who is it? Who would you like to see?
You know, I will always stick to, I want to see Daenerys on the Iron Throne. Just like her character development, her becoming this just badass queen, basically just like alone. Obviously she had help from people, but like it was her that has achieved all of this, and I want to see her go over there and just fucking wreak havoc, because they all know about her. Like, now they know that she exists for quite a while, and like nobody seems, I think that they're more afraid of her now, but for a while nobody was really afraid of her, and I just want her to come over and be like, bitch, you should have been afraid.
Mm-hmm.
I also just, I really want her, I just really want to see her win. I really want her to win, but I also don't want it to come at the cost of the rest of my Stark children dying.
Right.
Like, I would love to see Sansa and Jon stay in the North. I'd love for that to happen, and for Daenerys to come over there, take the Iron Throne, but for them to be behind her on it. Like, them to all be chill with one another. Especially with all of the, you know, like the weird theories between Jon and Daenerys that people have posed that I find intriguing.
Right. Well, we'll definitely be finding out soon enough, hopefully.
Yeah, that, I mean, like, I want to find out, but at the same time, I don't want it to end.
Well, at least we've got 2 more seasons, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
So moving on, you are also into Disney.
Oh, yes.
And being you and I are both from Central Florida, I can't imagine that, you know, Disney is not such, it's probably a major part of your life.
Oh, definitely. I actually have the highest annual pass that you can purchase.
What draws you to Disney?
I'm not actually originally from Florida or Central Florida. I was born in Maryland, and when I was growing up, my mom and my dad had a lot of issues. I don't want to like bring people down with like too many details and stuff, but like they had a lot of problems. It wasn't very good for quite a while I was growing up, just with them having those issues together. So what really consoled me that my big sister would put on for me is Disney movies. I owned every VHS, every Disney movie at the time. I still have them all sitting in a closet right now. I never got rid of them. But they were sort of like what would console me when I was little. And so I grew up with that sort of already like bud of love for Disney. And then as I got older, I was always just kind of, you know, I was, like I said, I was really weird. I was awkward. I was a really shy person in school for a long time. So Disney is just what was sort of like my home. Disney was what like home felt like, and all of the characters, all of the songs, just everything that felt like my family, and those were my friends, because I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. I didn't have a big group of friends. And the friends that I did have, you know, it was very, very few and far between, depending on the grade that I was in. So Disney was just sort of like, they were my friends. Like, the princesses were my friends. The songs, I knew all the songs. I still know all the songs. My mom used to take us, after we moved to Florida, we used to go to Disney at least a couple times a year. It was just always happy. Like, she was happy there. My family was happy when we were together there. So Disney has always held like my happy place. And it still is that way today. I still love the princesses. I love Pixar now. I love that Disney acquired Star Wars because Star Wars is one of my favorite things, and I think they're doing an amazing job so far, at least with The Force Awakens. Like, that movie was beyond all expectation, I think, for a lot of Star Wars fans, especially for me. I was kind of worried that Disney was gonna like Disneyfy it, but they came through on it. And so I guess like if you just want to put it all into just like one short sentence, Disney is home.
That is probably the most poignant answer that I've heard. I have to ask, what Disney movie is your favorite?
My favorite Disney movie is The Little Mermaid.
Ariel.
Yes,
Yep.
Ariel, who is now, has been since I was little, but since 2010 when Tangled came out, my Rapunzel, my Punzi, is also another favorite.
I love Tangled. I love the newer princess movies, Tangled and Frozen, but I really love Tangled. Tangled was one of those movies where it was just really amazing just to see that, like, not only the animation, but the songs and the characters between Flynn and Rapunzel. Those two were fantastic.
Yeah, and like, it's so disappointing to me because Tangled is like, for me, I think that Tangled is so much more like amazing than Frozen. Like, just like I like it was just so much more amazing, and yet it hardly gets anything in the parks.
Right. I mean,
Frozen,
they do have in Fantasyland Rapunzel's tower,
yeah,
but that's
I mean, and then
not
she
anything.
has the area near the bathrooms.
Right.
Like, really? The bathrooms? And like, yes, you can meet her, and then like her and Flynn are in like some of the parades and shows and things. But Frozen is like taking over, and I don't like it. Not because I think Frozen is shit. Frozen, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't amazing. But Disney saw an opportunity with it when they saw how much kids loved it and how well people responded to Elsa, that they just kind of latched onto it, and they're like, we're making everything Frozen.
Yep.
Fuck it, everything is Frozen now. Because little girls fucking love Queen Elsa. I don't even think they understand what the fuck happened in the movie. They're just like, Elsa! And I'm like, you don't even fucking know what happened in that movie, do you? No, she sings the song in the ice and lets it go. Oh, yep, that's it.
I have to say that of the two, between Elsa and Anna, I am more of an Anna fan. I love her.
I love her too. I love Elsa because, everyone can probably identify with her a little bit, feeling sort of like, if you ever felt like outcast or different or strange, or like you couldn't be yourself, like you can identify with her. And the second reason that I like her is she's voiced by the queen of all queens, Idina Menzel. So that's a reason to like her. But other than that, she doesn't have a lot of redeeming qualities, just because they didn't give her any. Like, I feel like they didn't develop the story enough. You don't fucking know why she has any magic powers. You don't know where the fuck her parents were going. You don't know where did Kristoff come from? Why is he alone? Did the trolls just kidnap him? Did he have a family?
Why are there trolls?
Why are there trolls that know about this magic that nobody else seems to know about?
Exactly. Like
there's holes that I'm just like, explain a little more. Give a little more backstory.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like my roommate, she just walks by and she pointed out, she's like, what about the staff in the fucking castle? Like, if they're trying to like fucking hide Elsa this whole time, what about the staff? Clearly it's a fully staffed castle. All these people must fucking know that she's there. And if you don't have any staff, who is taking care of the castle? It's just, it's irritating. It's very irritating. Especially because the parents didn't fucking listen. They said, you can't be afraid of it. You have to control it, not hide it.
Absolutely. They took it that step further.
They took it the completely wrong way, which, yes, okay, that's the point of the movie. But they didn't give any sort of even hint or reason as to why Elsa was born with these powers.
Mm-hmm.
which like her parents clearly knew about, but like why was it never questioned? Why was nobody ever like, where are these from?
Yeah, it's
Why does
interesting to
nobody
think
else have
about.
any magic except these trolls?
And the trolls are pretty
These
worthless.
little fucking rock trolls that stole a child. They stole. I'm standing by that those ice people. Someone there was his family, and then that troll just wanted a kid and stole him.
We're going into the darker side of Disney now.
Yes. Yeah, and who are Hans's other brothers? Who are these people? I want to know. They put all these things in there, and I'm just like, I don't know. Frozen just doesn't sit well with me. If I see it, it just irks me because it's everywhere and it's taken over everything.
Mm-hmm.
And like, there's no reason for it to, because there are so many other princesses already out there that deserve so much more. Mulan.
Oh, definitely. I'll go with you on Mulan. I'm not too big on Pocahontas, but I will bring up that I think there needs to be more love for Kida from Atlantis.
Oh my god, yes, okay, but she's not even recognized as like.
Yeah, because she doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, she's not even like recognized, but like she should be, because Atlantis is like an amazing movie. It still is. You put Atlantis on, like it holds up so well. It's so fucking good. Atlantis 2 was shit. I mean, straight to DVD. I still watched it. Whatever. Don't judge me. Atlantis 2 was not good.
No, but Atlantis 1 was excellent.
Atlantis it was so good, and like that's another one of those movies that put out that didn't get enough recognition. I don't feel like.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
But Mulan, like, come on, like Mulan is a badass. Like, she is amazing. And the only thing that she gets is, okay, she has a much bigger role and, like, is actually in some of the stage shows over, like, in Shanghai Disneyland that has just opened up. She's actually in the shows. Here in Orlando, you hardly see her anywhere.
And I have to say, when I went to Epcot to see her, the person that they had being Mulan was not the best fit for her.
I have also come across people that are friends with Mulan that I don't think should be friends with her. Okay, are you aware, like, that's like the term?
Oh, I'm aware. Yeah, okay. I'm aware of the friends of.
No, and I came across Belle in Epcot one time, and I was just like, that's kind of interesting. Just sometimes they don't pick good friends, and it's really sad when you see lots of friends for people like Elsa, and then you don't see very many friends for people like Jasmine and Mulan. And then when you do, if you come across a bad one, you're like, did you even try?
I have to agree. I mean, definitely Mulan is one. Elsa's another where it's really hard. I don't know what their problem is. If it's the wig that the friend has to wear.
Yeah.
Because I see cosplayers all the time.
Yeah.
Do excellent Elsas, but the ones that I've seen in Magic Kingdom were not the best.
There have been. Also, speaking of Magic Kingdom, I don't think they did a good job with her wig. Like, the wig doesn't look good to me for Elsa. Like it's white, and my roommate is pointing out she has very, 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 very pale blonde hair. She has like bleach blonde hair, like icy white hair, but it's not white. It is a blonde white, which is very different if anyone has ever colored their hair. To anyone that has ever colored their hair, or cosplayers out there, you know the difference between a white blonde and a white.
Absolutely.
And so it's just because like watching the movie, like, she has blonde hair. Like, she has blonde hair, but her wig is white. Like, bright ass fucking white. And I get why they did it, because, that's, I guess, I mean, it could look like that, but it's not. And I'm just, like, I'm kind of a stickler for details like those when it comes to the official, the official look, the official character that they put out. It should look like what the people that created it wanted it to look like. She had blonde hair, she should have blonde hair. Now, for cosplaying, I think that it's totally fine to put your own spin on it or how you interpret it. Like, cosplaying is a different story for me, but when it comes to the official park and the official character, I'm a stickler for, like, the details.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't like going to the park and feeling like I was cheated out of the character that I'm waiting to, meet. And same way with, like, Merida's dress. Like, they have her not at her meeting area, but like in some of the shows and some of the parades and things, you see her in this dress that looks nothing like when she wears it in the movie.
Absolutely. I remember when they were going to change her dress, or if that's the dress that you're speaking about now, there was a lot of outrage about them changing the dress to where they got so much heat that they reversed their decision.
Yeah, they've been doing this thing where they're trying to update all the dresses. Like, they've done it to all the dolls, and they've been doing it to the characters. They're like glamorizing the princesses beyond all glamour that they already have. They're adding like sparkles every fucking place they can, and it's just not canon. Like, it's not part of their outfits. Like, the dress that Ariel wears in the park, she never wears a fucking seafoam dress. She doesn't have a flower in her hair. They use this, like, oh god, it's frustrating to me, because if you're gonna change the character's outfit, at least make it an outfit that they've worn. Ariel never wore a dress like that, ever. But I don't know if everyone out there knows this. There are 3 Little Mermaid movies. Yes, there is a second and a third. The third one, you see her mom in it. Still, nowhere in those shitty direct DVD after movies do you even see those. Do you even see that dress? It doesn't exist. They made it to glamorize her, and they don't need to add any more glamour to the princesses. They're already glamorous.
Absolutely. I have to agree with you. Now, you also cosplay.
Oh, yes. I do love to cosplay from Disney.
Is it only Disney that you cosplay, or are you branching out from Disney to other characters?
Oh, no. Disney is a big one, but I have done everywhere from League of Legends. I've cosplayed from video games. I've cosplayed from Disney television shows. Like, I definitely have been expanding. I've done a gender bent Thor. Like, Disney isn't the only thing that I cosplay. It's a big part of what I cosplay. But I do like to cosplay other things, like Star Wars. Like, I did a femme Han Solo, and that was one of my favorite things to do, because I walked around with a sign that said I shot first.
Oh, fantastic.
And it was like, that was like one of my favorite moments, especially when people would try and argue with me, and I would just be like, no, you can't argue with me. This is just how it is. This is just the truth.
It is the truth. There's no spinning that.
No. No matter what they did when they tried to make it look like he didn't shoot first, Han shot first. We all know he did. It's okay. He's not supposed to be a good guy.
Absolutely. He's supposed to be that gray character.
Yeah. He's in no way a hero. He's like a rascal. At the time, he wasn't even anywhere near as good as he gets to be, as he turns out to be. So, like, it shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone that this smuggler would shoot first, because he did.
How did you get into cosplay?
I got into cosplay, well, like, the first cosplay that I did was, like I said, in 9th grade. But it was actually a friend who, we're not friends anymore. We don't speak anymore. But friend in high school, she was the first person that I had ever seen cosplay before, and she had cosplayed Kairi, and I did not know what cosplay was until she cosplayed Kairi, and she had gone to MegaCon, and then I went to AFO that year, so AFO came after MegaCon, and like, she was what got me intrigued by it. And then I went to AFO, and I brought Yuna with me, and then I saw these people, and I was like, wow, like, I want to do that. I want to be part of that. And then there weren't really any conventions in the town that I grew up in Florida. It's a town called Cape Coral. It's like 3.5 hours south of here. So I really got into cosplay when I moved up to Orlando, and that was 4 years ago.
Okay.
So I finally actually, like, I never stopped, like, planning cosplays or, like, looking at ideas for them. I just actually started doing it.
What's been your favorite cosplay to do?
That's a hard question. I think my favorite cosplay that I've done is definitely Ariel, because I cosplayed her in her Kiss the Girl dress, which is the outfit with the blue skirt and the white top with like the black sort of corseted looking thing with the big bow in the hair.
Right.
A friend of mine sewed the skirt for me, and I added on the shirt and the corseted part looking thing on it. It's actually hard to kind of explain what that is. It doesn't really make sense when you like look at it, but I was cosplaying in the Kiss the Girl dress and walking around, and a little girl came up to me and asked if she could take a photo with me. And I love when kids come up and want to take photos with me because they freak out over when you're any Disney character. And she, after we took the photo, I went to walk away, but she would not let me leave until I sang to her.
Oh boy.
And so I was just like, I tried so hard to leave, and I was just so not, like, I tried everything. I tried to, like, trick her, being like, oh no, like I'm in this outfit, like, ha, I don't have my voice, ha ha ha, and she was not having any of it. She would not leave me alone until I sang to her. And so I did sing to her, but it turned out to be one of, like, the best moments and best interactions that I've had.
Well, that's good.
And I cosplayed Tinkerbell at Dragon Con 2 years ago, and the overwhelming love that I got from people as Tinkerbell was just, like, too much to handle.
How so? Just a lot of, like, people wanting to take pictures?
Like, people, like, wanting to take pictures, but also just, like, people saying hi. They'd be like, hey, Tink. And then, or they'd be like, oh my god, I love your wings, or your wig is really nice. Or one of my friends who works in the parks, I had posted a picture, and when he was scrolling, he went, oh my god, for a minute I thought that you were one of the face characters, like in the show, until I saw your tattoo, because I have a tattoo under my collarbone. But before that, that's like the best compliment I've ever gotten. He was like, I thought that it was someone who was friends with Tink. And I was just like, that's like the best compliment you could ever give me, ever. Oh my god.
That is pretty awesome.
Disney cosplays always get a lot of kids interested, so you definitely have to either be good with kids or kind of like kids. Because if you don't, then you're just going to be annoyed all day, because kids are going to be running up to you, hugging you, wanting pictures, or just wanting to, like, just to touch you.
Right.
If you're not willing to sort of play the part, then you're gonna break their heart, and nobody wants to break little kids' heart.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Don't break kids' hearts, people.
No, don't break little kids' hearts, especially when you're in cosplay, because little kids will look up to you and they will think of you as that character. To most kids, like, there is no difference. Like, you are that character. And so if you are an asshole, or, you know, or if you're just kind of shitty to them, then they're going to take that away from that experience, and we want them to come back, and we want everyone to have a good time. So, you know, be nice to the kids at the conventions.
Do you have any future cosplays in the works?
Yes, I recently did a warrior Ariel cosplay, inspired by I've seen some artwork of Ariel, like, with armor or as a Jedi, and I was like, wow, that'd be really cool to make Ariel like a warrior. And I did that for this past MegaCon, but after doing it, I was like, I really want to add more. So I'm planning on actually getting better at armor work and prop work so that I can revamp that cosplay. I am also having in the works a Rey cosplay from Evangelion.
Well, where can people find you if they want to follow you, whether it's cosplay or just everyday life?
If anybody wants to follow my Instagram, that's fine. It's just my name, Meghan Short. It's MEGHANSHORT. Or they can follow my Tumblr, which is real-rei, REI-Ayanami at tumblr.com. And you can find personal life, cosplay, all of that good stuff at both of those places. Or if anyone even wants to look me up on Facebook, I don't mind adding people on Facebook if anyone wants to like talk about anime or movies or cosplay or just anything in general. Also just Meghan Short, and I'm from Orlando, Florida, so just look for that one.
Yeah, there are a few Meghan Shorts, I have to be honest. And you got to make sure you get the right one.
Yeah, just it's the Meghan Short in Orlando, Florida. And I have blonde hair at the moment, so if blonde pixie cut lives in Orlando, you found me.
And maybe if you're going to friend her, send her a nice courtesy message first.
Yes, go, like let me know like why, just in general, like if you're going to be like adding me, just be like, hey, I heard you on David's podcast, so here I am, instead of just random ad, because if you just random add me without an explanation, then I might not add you back. Just if we especially don't really have any friends in common, I might just think you're some weird person trying to either peel my skin off or steal my identity.
Well, they could always be a Nigerian prince.
Yes, a Nigerian prince that wants to give me tons and tons of money.
Well, I want to say that you're on my list. You're coming back after you watch some Next Gen.
Yes!
So we can discuss Star Trek.
Perfect.
And it has been fantastic having you on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me on. I have never had an opportunity like this before. I'm super honored to even be asked. I'm super happy you want me to come back. I've had a really great time talking to you. This has really, really been a super fun experience for me.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you again, and I'm sure people can hopefully look for you at Tampa Bay Comic-Con if they're in attendance.
Yes, Tampa Bay Comic-Con, Holiday Matsuri, AFO, any of those. If you guys see me, anyone wants to say hello, if you recognize me. I love meeting people now. I love especially meeting friends at conventions. So look me up, find me, hug me, take pictures with me.
Just make sure you ask permission before you hug me.
Yeah.
That might be weird.
Yeah, don't just come up and hug me, especially if we haven't introduced ourselves. But I am always down for hugs afterwards.
Well, thank you again. And to everyone else, subscribe on iTunes, follow us on Facebook, Tales from the Fandom. And if you have any questions or comments or would like to be part of the show, email me at talesfromthefandom@gmail.com. And have a great night.